made proposals and presentations to the Finance Ministry, making some demands which they expect the Finance Ministry to consider. One of them is the Ghana Federation of Labour. They've reiterated calls for a comprehensive review of what they've described as nuisance taxes in Ghana, specifically the excise duties on the beverages industry ahead of the 2024 budget presentation. They are not alone in this. The Food and Beverages Association of Ghana is also making this call for a review of a number of the taxes imposed on food and beverages in this country. What we'll do this evening is to run you through the list of the taxes on a number of the items that you go to the market to buy and how the tax component influences the price that you eventually buy those items for, and how a review of those tax components could save you and I some money, and whether it is a realistic expectation to have of government to reduce these taxes, especially at a time when government itself is struggling with generating revenue. So we'll juxtapose those two positions. But while we are at it, the international accounting and auditing firm KPMG is also stating that government's actions are beginning to show in the marginal stability of the economy, but they make some demands of government going into the 2024 budget because they have been engaging some business groups as well. We'll have the KPMG joining us here on Business Focus, plus the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi as well. So it's a big conversation ahead of the budget presentation for the fiscal year 2024. I am Alfred Akanse. Welcome. Let's take a wrap of some of the stories that made headlines in the world of business in the last 24 hours.
Today in business, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Ben Boakye, says African leaders must provide the needed investments and infrastructure to harness clean energy under the African Continental Free Trade Area. According to him, the current activities of assembling components of solar PV systems by companies in the clean energy space do not qualify them to benefit from the opportunities the Trade Pact provides. The Ghana Civil Aviation Authority has indicated its commitment to investing in infrastructure to enhance safety at all airports in the country. This decision follows Ghana losing its top ranking in aviation safety on the continent to South Africa. And on the international front, the White House has announced what it is calling the most significant actions ever taken by any government to advance the field of AI safety. An executive order from President Biden requires artificial intelligence developers to share safety results with the U.S. government.
That's One News on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Business Focus. We'll go for this quick break. When we're back, we'll get into the conversation this evening as we detail the 2024 budget expectations, engaging some business groups who are calling for the scrapping of the e-levy and the COVID-19 levy and so on. But really, is this a realistic expectation to have of a government that is struggling to generate revenue? We'll talk about it this evening. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint. As compared to other paint brands on the market, we take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, One bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Are you ready to win solid cash every day with Cash Out? Be a proud winner of lots of cash simply by watching or listening to any of Media General stations. That's right, you are being rewarded for your loyalty. Tune in to all Media General brands. TV3, 3FM 92.7, Onia TV, Onia FM 95.1, all in Accra, Akuma FM 87.9 in Kumasi, and Connect FM 97.1 in Takoradi. To enter the Cash Out raffle on your favorite Media General station, just dial *439#. Follow the prompt and pick your favorite platform to enter. Voila! You are now eligible to become one of the 10 lucky winners of a cool cash prize. Remember, this is every day, all day on your favorite Media General station. Cash out and win big! This is in partnership with Radio Entertainment Limited. This promo is regulated by the National Lottery Authority on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
When the sun rises, there is hope. While this hope lingers on, the citizens look up to the government, the economy, the national development agenda, and everything in between.
On Ghana Tonight, it's our utmost priority to bring you insightful conversations on the economy, break down the biggest issues while setting the agenda for transformation and national development. The big and important stories are treated from the human interest angle, while the facts and the figures are painted with precision. So now, let's cut the convention and start the conversation here on Ghana Tonight. I am your host, Alfred Okansi.
Ghana Tonight shows Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by
Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Hey! What do you do with some cool $2,000? Okay. Here to Win game show is exactly what you need. It's the only game show where you are already rich before you begin to play. Every week, 2 lucky people stand the chance of winning money. All you have to do is go through some quizzes and fun games. Somebody from Peru is called Perusian. Whatever you say, you have to be proud because your family people are watching. Somebody from Madagascar is called Malagasy. Correct!
Okay, let's go.
It's you that will tell me let's go. You are not even winning.
Okay.
Hold the stand and jump fasting.
Amazing.
Jump go.
Ayikwe Ama. Be proud. Okay. First of all, is Ayikwe supposed to be a man or a woman? Put it on your forehead. Ayikwe. Be a part of this game show right here on TV3 and take home some cool cash. Come join us on Here to Win game show where you win it all. Hey, ya mama. Hey, mama. Hey, ya mama. Hey, mama. Here to Win.
Here to Win shows Saturdays at 8 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Kill It Insecticide Spray,
Gino Tomato Mix.
Welcome back to Business Focus. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Now, let's take a look at this. These are a list of taxes and levies on average products that the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana put out in a statement earlier in the week. Import duty, 20% tax. Import VAT, 15%. ECOWAS levy, 0.5%. Network charge, 0.4%. Network VAT, 15%. And then you also have network COVID-19. That's a 1% COVID-19 levy that will be businesses have been crying about. In fact, consumers as well, because when you buy certain items from the shop, supermarket, you pay COVID-19 levy. Now, network NHIL 2.5%, special input levy 2%, Ghana Shippers Authority levy 0.9%, import NHIL 2.5%, withholding tax on import 1%. All of these taxes are paid on average products. See, Ghana Health Service disinfection fee, $30. That's, we understand, is a flat rate, $30. And then the Ghana Export-Import Bank levy, 0.75%, Get Fund Import levy, 2.5%, Network Charge Get Fund, 2.5%, Inspection fee, 1%, African Union Input levy, 0.2%. Then you have COVID-19 Health Recovery levy, 1%, FDA rate there is 0.5%, and then also 0.8% of invoice value. That's a Ghana Standards Authority fee of 0.8% of invoice value. That's what we're seeing there. Reverend John Awuni is the president of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. Is joining us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. And these are the list of taxes you captured in a document you issued earlier. Now, what exactly are the components in there that you think that government can take a look at, all of these taxes?
Well, General, I think that, first of all, the COVID-19 levy has to be removed.
The COVID-19 levy?
The COVID-19 levy has to be removed because we are no more in COVID era. And that 1%, if you look at it in bulk quantities, you will realize that that is a huge amount. The special input levy can also be looked at. We have something that is a presidential special levy and that kind of, it has to be removed. But generally, over the period, our tax system, our import system have been built up in a way to, so to say, each time you have stakeholders meet, so well, let's introduce this tax so that we can protect the local sector, the manufacturing sector, we can protect local industry. So over the years, import duties have gone up, and all other things have gone up to the so as to protect the local industry. But when you look at tonight, I want to look at the manufacturing sector. When you look at the manufacturing sector of the country, it is clearly not doing well. In fact, indeed, what other jurisdictions, what other economies in China, for instance, and some of the developed countries, what they will produce in a week is what our factories produce here in a year, in a month. And that is clearly doesn't give them any way for them to able to perform to competitive advantage. So when you look at our competitive, we do not have a competitive advantage over our neighbors, over whatever not. If you go to Europe, go to the US and other states, and you find out African products are the expensive things. If you want to eat African food in the US or in the Europe, you will find that that is expensive. Why is it expensive? Because generally the production level is expensive. We have failed, Alfred, to successfully produce enough agriculture produce in this country because our agriculture sector hasn't done well because of high level of production. And this is not theory. I have been part of the agri sector over 2 decades.
You mean the cost of production?
The cost of production is very high. And that has also impacted on the cost of production on the manufacturing sector in the country. Our manufacturing sector is not doing well. It is not competitive. And that's why in some, I tried to show some other table where you have the production cost of the product and then the retail cost of the product, so that you find out that in some cases, the consumer pay up to about 100% taxes on the original cost of the product.
We'll come to that. We'll come to what that table that you're talking about. But
so
this is not the first time. Yes.
We look at, you asked the question of what should they remove. We talked about the COVID-19 should be removed. The growth and sustainability tax should be removed. That excise duty that they put on the fruit juices and that stuff, it should be removed.
Why?
But clearly, you are, for instance, let's take the excise tax. You put it on fruit juices. We had one district, one factory that the government set up all over, and most of them are fruit juices and what and what. Why would you put a tax to make it that expensive? You are shooting yourself in the foot. You are making the product uncompetitive. If you look at, I have had opportunity
so
to
that
look
excise
at
tax,
sales,
even if it is locally produced fruit juice, that excise tax
excise
is on
tax,
it.
excise tax is
and
on
then
it.
also, if it is imported fruit juice, the excise tax is
It's on it. So why couldn't the government put the excise tax on the imported fruit juices and leave the local sector
So as to
perform?
discourage some...
So as to, if you want to encourage your local sector by putting the excise tax on the imported ones, and then you leave the local ones to be able to be compared. Already we have high cost of production. Electricity cost is very high. Water is high. Indeed, general production, in addition to the taxes all over, makes our production very, very high. So if you have a situation where you produce, the cost of your product is 5 cedis, and the retail end is almost 10 cedis because of the taxation, why would you introduce new things again? It doesn't augur well. It doesn't help your local industry to do well. If your local industry doesn't do well, it impacts negatively on the agriculture sector, because agric and manufacturing, depending on whichever way you look at it, have both forward and backward integration. So if your manufacturing sector is doing well, it's most likely that your production sector, your agric sector will also be doing well. But if you tend to work in a way that you discourage your manufacturing sector, and you just pay, and this doesn't, in fact, let us be very clear that it doesn't just refer only to this government, but this has been like that over the years. Over the years, government after government have always said, they have not supported the manufacturing sector very well, so even the agricultural sector. So we have, it's a complete cycle that we go around. I take typical example, local chicken. I would love to eat local chicken every day in my house, because by all standards, it is fresh, it tastes better, far better than all that than the imported one. But a bed of a local chicken, 1.2 kilos, is 130 cedis. At my level, I cannot afford that in my house.
One full chicken.
One full chicken, 130 locally produced.
Bred chicken.
Exactly. 130 cedis. There's somebody who produces that just by my house. I can't afford that every day in my house for a month. If I cannot afford that, can my driver do so? Can the teacher do so? Can the nurse do so? And all those things. So I think that clearly the government needs to really look at it. The government of the day. But let us not be misunderstood that like we are blaming the government. But over the years, it has been like that. And the manufacturing sector is not doing well.
How has the quarterly tariff review as well, the review of the electricity and water tariffs quarterly, as per the IMF's demand, also impacted on your operations?
It has exacerbated the already high cost of production. It has also impacted negatively on demand. In fact, a lot of people manufacturers are not able to produce much. The importers also are not able to sell in the market. So they have stocks locked up. And I've said it that if you look at the angle of the importers, most of their products that come in are on supplier's credit. So the longer your product remain in the warehouse, the more trouble you are in. The manufacturers, you cannot produce because already they have slapped in exercise duty, brought in growth and sustainability tax. Now they come in every quarter. Electricity tariffs have to be reviewed upwards. How are you going to plan? There are products that used to cost like 1 cedi. Today it is 4 cedis. Products used to cost like 5 cedis. Today it is 10 cedis. And so it has affected almost all over. And we think that clearly in this fiscal year, in the 2024 fiscal year, the government must make well. The government of the day must do well to come out with policies that will encourage agri, policies that will encourage the manufacturing sector. And those can be done by canceling most of the taxes so as to motivate or increase demand of the consumer. Because as it is now, most people's disposable income is very low, and they cannot really afford. And
so that's left you, the businesses as well, in a dilemma, because the consumer's purchasing power is nothing to write home about, and your cost of production is going high. But because the consumers don't have the money to pay, our purchasing power is reducing in value. You can't also increase the prices of your product, because if you increase it, you won't get the money to buy.
Absolutely.
So then you have to keep your price at a certain level, even though you are making losses, but you just have to sell, let the goods move. because that's how much we can buy. It's a rather serious situation you find yourself in as businesses. Professor John Gatti is the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, is joining us. Professor Gatti, you do appreciate the concerns that the business community is raising, is it not? Because they look at the increasing cost of production as a result of the quarterly review of the tariffs that was occasioned by this IMF conditionalities. They've looked at also, they've made concerns raised about the growth and sustainability levy, which has also increased their cost of production, also occasioned by the IMF conditionalities. They want the COVID-19 and the e-levy scrapped in this 2024 budget. Is this a call that you would support?
Well, thank you. Well, I think that call emanates from the fact that businesses have complained about the multiplicity of taxes, and some of the taxes they consider to be redundant. And they have engaged the tax authorities and the government about these issues. So it is left with government to review the situation and revise the taxes and remove some of them. I think not only the trade associations are calling for the review or the removal of e-levy and COVID-19 taxes. Even in a recent survey conducted by KPMG or so, that also came up strongly that businesses want COVID-19 to be removed, and they also want e-levy to be removed. So I think this is the call across board in the country. And I think it called for a listening ear to see what can be done.
Now, and so far, since this is not the first time this call has been made, we haven't seen any receptive or listening ear on the part of government, have we?
Well, I have not seen that. Of course, I do know that Ministry of Finance and some GRA officials have met Guta, for example, and Guta presented these views to them. As to what they are doing about it, we do not know yet. Because the idea is that you do not tax the business environment away in such a way that they become uncomfortable and that have a toll on their operations. If that happens, you will produce a lot of recalcitrant traders who will not appreciate the importance of payment of the taxes. They will find a way of invading it because they cannot do very well under the pressure of the taxes. Mm-hmm. So I believe that is where we are now. In addition to that, it is very clear that COVID is not being observed anywhere in the world. Therefore, to have a COVID tax on your books is as if the people don't know anything. They are just, taking anything that you give to them. Mm. I think there are two approaches that the government will have to consider. One is to remove the COVID tax. I know some people will say that when you remove that tax, you have removed a source of revenue. When we are in a time where we are calling for increase in revenue, but we cannot get revenue at the expense of choking the business environment and our people. Then the second approach for the government is to appeal to businesses that this tax is not relevant anymore, but because of the drive to mobilize more revenue, can you give me 1 year to operate this tax again, to rake in some revenue, to solve some problem, then I will remove it. So that means that the tax, those who bring on board the tax have some respect, some appreciation for those who pay the tax. But when COVID is not around, the WHO has actually pronounced on COVID. Everybody is aware, but you are still keeping COVID tax or COVID levy. It's an insult to the people.
I see, but is this a very realistic expectation to have of this government that is struggling to raise revenue is at the IMF for budgetary support and would scrape in revenue wherever it can get. Is it a realistic expectation to have off government to scrap taxes off that would take revenue away in this economic situation?
Well, it is realistic depending on the way you look at it. If you are aware that the businesses that are producing the taxes for you, they are the same businesses that produce enhanced business expansion, create more opportunities for the economy to grow. And you need the growth for the economy much more than anything. Then you will realize that you will need to accede to the call that these business entities are making. But if you do not believe that the growth that we expect and we are getting is coming from the activities of these companies, these businesses across board in the country, then you want to maintain anything at all, you want to impose anything at all. So it's just a matter of finding a balance between you mobilizing revenue and you making the environment more comfortable for businesses to thrive, to generate that growth that we all need.
I see. Professor, yes, you're back. I lost you briefly. Now, would you, based on where you sit, on the balance of the loss and gain, would you say it would be prudent for government to consider the removal of these, at least the COVID-19 and the e-levy? Because you spoke a lot more about COVID-19. How about the e-levy as well? Scrapped, regardless of the revenue that it would lose, and juxtapose it with the gains that it will make? Is it a consideration that government should take a look at?
Well, everybody, I think most people, and I believe including the vice president, believe that e-levy is not the best to go. But we have it on our book. We know the punishment that came out of the e-levy. It is not dependable. We have not seen a new data to see how e-levy is performing right now. It is when we see that data that we can make informed decisions. But based on what we know, I think that the government have to look at the e-levy again. There are many taxes that government described as not performing, and for that matter, nuisance to the people. So that there is opportunity to relook at the e-levy. And again, you may not remove the e-levy, but you may reduce the rate significantly. You may reduce how you have actually put the e-levy in place so that it will reduce the burden on the people. So there are various ways of looking at it. One is to remove it. Two is to restructure the tax so that the rates can come down significantly for people to accommodate it. I think the principle of just taxing this kind of environment is that it should be progressive and be conscious of the effect on businesses. But we shouldn't expect that we want to rake money 1 fiscal year, 2 fiscal year to solve our fiscal problem. When you look at it from that perspective, you'll be causing more harm to businesses and individuals than you thought of.
Professor Kachi, hold on a bit for me, and this is a call that you agree with, is it not?
Exactly, I very much agree with what the prof is saying. If you are looking for your economy to do well, your private sector must be doing well. Now, if you have a whole lot of unemployment in the country, and every year they bring out graduates, thousands of them, who will absorb them? Not the government. The government is the biggest spender in the economy, but the government is not the biggest employer. It's the private sector. And the private sector can only employ them if they are doing well. So that is the reason. And the call for these tax removals, we are not doing that at the blind side of the fact that we are not looking at the government will lose revenue. No, I think that it will actually boost government revenue mobilization. At the current situation where you have tax officers sitting down at the doors of taxpayers to collect their monies, good that people are about going on strike because tax officers are sitting down at their doors. But
you also do acknowledge the concerns, and I'm sure this is something that you support, to identify those who are actually not paying taxes. right?
No, absolutely.
To pay the taxes.
That is critical. In fact, that is the critical thing now, because for now, only a few are paying the taxes. And those are the people who are carrying the burden.
Exactly.
We have people come to work for you in the house. And for like in a week, the fellow goes home like 1,000 cedis, 2,000 cedis, comes back next week,
and
then there's no tax on it. That is something that as a nation we need to be able to discuss and see how we can bring in a lot of the informal sector into the tax basket. That will relieve a lot of us.
You have a problem with the approach?
I have a problem with the approach.
Okay. Martin Kwame Awaga is president of the Ghana FinTech and Payments Association. Martin, thank you for joining us here on Business Focus. So, talk about the concerns, in fact, the calls to scrap e-levy so as to also free up the space for especially the private sector. You've been looking at the numbers. Since e-levy, the rate was reduced from 1.5 to 1%, we've seen an astronomical increase in the usage of mobile money as a means of transaction. Is this a call that you would support, the scrapping of the 1% e-levy?
Thank you, Alfred, for having me. I mean, the fintech industry, we have always maintained that the e-levy is a nuisance tax. And we have actually taken steps to see how governments can make efforts in totally scrapping the tax. Why the need for digitalization? It's all intended to enhance economic integration and economic modernization. And that is why we believe that the government's call for digitalization was the right steps. And you would also bear with me that every economy, you know, the rails on which every economy operates, or the backbone for every economy, is finance. Yes. And in recent times, we are seeing, you know, the surge in technology use and its impact on businesses and livelihoods. So, I mean, fintechs in itself, or in totality, is not new to the financial sector or the, you know, entire payment industry. So we believe that, you know, the e-levy, you know, is inhibiting the digital transformation agenda, even of government. Because if you look at it carefully, government's introduction of the e-levy has really reduced the appetite of businesses and individuals to go and transact online. So these are things that we are seeing, and we're also saying that all the efforts that, you know, the private sector and the government are making towards financial inclusion, you know, brings about additional cost to businesses and individuals transacting online. And so all the efforts that we are talking about, or we are looking at when it comes to financial inclusion, you know, it goes beyond. A lot of times, excuse me, Alfred, a lot of times people think financial inclusion is just having a bank account or mobile wallet, but it goes beyond that. Now, if fintechs are providing avenues or channels for easy payments and remittances inflow, as well as savings platform investments, the capital markets, the securities, and pension, insurance, these are all channels through which fintechs make, or the digital payment industry makes life comfortable and easy for people, you know, making transactions seamless, whereby even your account details are, you know, on the user's fingertips, you know. So the e-levy is actually, you know, hindering that. If you look at the data, Professor Gachi mentioned something about the data. If you look at the volume of transactions, it has been reducing dramatically. And I have maintained, or we have maintained in the industry, that without the e-levy, I mean, you don't bear with me that any tax that comes, the additional cost is borne by the consumer or the customers. So without the e-levy, you would have seen an astronomical increase. Currently, as I guess the data says that we're doing 1.1 trillion volume of transactions within the mobile money space.
Yes.
We could have done more than that. And I have maintained, and we have also maintained as an association and industry, that the scrapping of the e-levy would see, you know, more people coming back in and using the platforms to, you know, make their transactions, be it in the e-commerce space, be it for their for getting microloans or whatsoever. There's a whole lot of opportunities in this industry. And let's not use this e-levy to prevent or to stop the numerous opportunities or benefits that we can gain from the fintech sector.
But but this is a growing sector for that matter, and
yes.
One of the justifications for government entering that space is that to the extent that this is a growing sector, they cannot just leave the revenues and the benefits in there for just the telcos to take. Are you calling for a remodeling of the e-levy as a policy or the total scrapping of it? Because there were proposals to have it rather imposed on the telcos instead of the user of that mobile money as means for transaction.
Yeah, Alfred, thank you once again. I mean, even before the introduction of the e-levy, we saw that fintechs or the telcos or the mobile money operators had to incur some level of administrative challenges, in introducing this stream of operations into their business. And that in itself is a cost, it's a cost to the business operators. So, like you rightfully mentioned, for us, we are still not entirely enthused about any remodeling because the e-levy, as we are still seeing, recently we even heard that, or we noticed that the e-levy was being applied to microloans. Alfred, can you imagine? Microloans. This in all fairness, it does not need any remodeling. I mean, we abolished other essential taxes like the road tolls. We have maintained that, I mean, in developed countries, we do not, our road tolls have not been abolished, but we are introducing e-levy to better abolish road tolls, whereby it's affecting our roads. If you look at the current state of our roads, I mean, on this issue of remodeling, it should not even be brought to the table, Alfred. So for us, we are talking about a total scrap and bring back the road tolls. Additionally, government, like you rightfully mentioned, there has not been any, in terms of support. It's a growing industry, yes. There has not been any support or incentives to incentivize the companies that are operating in this industry. In other developed markets like the UK recently launched a £1 billion fintech fund to support the industry because of the numerous and abundant opportunities that lie in there. But what are we seeing here in Ghana? Government is not doing anything like that to support the industry, but rather taxing us to take us out of business, which, I mean, it's not fair when you look at it. So the whole conversation, even around remodeling, it's not something that we are welcome to, but a total scrapping of the e-levy and bringing back other taxes or other levies that were pushed aside because of this widening or enveloping of the informal sector into the mainstream financial sector is something that we think is totally not going to help, the financial sector in its totality and our drive towards digitalization. Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Martin Kwame Awaga is president of the FinTech and Payments Association of Ghana. This is Business Focus. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. And I'll show you a list of items that the Food and Beverage Association is making a case that if the tax component on these items were reviewed downwards a bit, it would save you and I some money. With this constrained consumer purchasing power that we are faced with as a result of the economic quagmire that we find ourselves in. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period na say problems wom. Ntina ma wo ho idea ma me. Papa chesena nya asem ketewa. Na me coin point no mo hwe me modem no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro. Mo meduro me fire no. Ene ma won kura mienu. Foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba.
And everything yourself.
Me ma me no adwojo eda ho a wontumi nante. And then ko end point o mama nura and then the why dia watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you. Of Akrobato. Hello. Hey, Oshisho what chair. Okay. A free bra with the end point what dance. I'm a choir no. Me Jones se ma na nkoyie e person na ma ye mre nyina na ma gina sebe ma na me be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. End point is my secret. End point homeopathy clinic. I'm free.
Life can change in just one moment. In one moment you have everything. The next moment it's all gone, swept away by raging floods. Your home's submerged in water. Your means of livelihood gone. Imagine the helplessness, the impotence, and the frustration. Let's come together to put a smile on the faces of the Akosomo Dams village communities. Help by donating cash, clothes, blankets, toiletries, food items, and medicine to our affected communities. Contribute to the Media General 3 Foundation Dams Village Relief Fund. Cash can be sent through the 3 Foundation account, Zenith Bank Ghana Limited, Kojo Thompson Road, Tudu, or through the Momo line 05974331110 or merchant ID 120494. Let's show them that we care.
Welcome back to Business Focus. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, also on DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. Reverend John Awuni is the president of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. Professor John Gachi is the dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. He's joining us on Zoom. Now, take a look at this. According to the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, if the tax component on these items were reviewed a bit, it would save you and I, the consumers, some money. First, evaporated milk. The tin, they say the price without tax should have been 8 cedis, 50 pesos, correct? Exactly. But because of the tax component on this one tin of evaporated milk, we are buying it for 15 cedis, 50 pesos. What liter is this? Is it the big one or the small size? Small one. I see. Then spaghetti, 1 cedi, 90 pesos. If it was without tax,
that's the pack.
The small size.
The small size.
Then with the tax, you are buying it for 4 cedis.
Exactly.
That's why this is so expensive. You go to the Indomie joint, you know. You can't buy. Juice, 38 cedis. We're talking about what kind of juice? Is it the 1 liter?
Like the box.
The box.
Also 1 liter kind of stuff.
And this imported juice?
This imported, locally produced.
As well. And then, let's go back. So the price with tax is 70 cedis.
Yes.
I see. Let's go to the next one. And then tin tomatoes, 7 cedis if the price was without tax. 13 cedis if there's tax on it. Cement, yes, 90 cedis. That's actually the lowest. I mean, there are some who are selling for 95 and so on, depending on the location.
No, but we did average prices.
Average.
Average prices.
I see. So what was the intention of all of this? What was the communication in there for us?
Well, I built this, a primary data. I built this, and what I did was that I contacted the various companies under our umbrella, and I asked them to give me the price of their product with tax and without tax. And these are what they gave me, and then I built. Some of them I directly have control over them, sugar, rice, and other stuff.
I see.
So
this is data that you made available to the Finance Ministry?
Yeah, we made available this data to the Finance Ministry. I wrote this to the Minister of Trade and to the Minister of Finance.
I see. And the proposals to have these.
And the proposals for these taxes to be removed, the growth and sustainability tax, exercise duty should be removed, and then the COVID-19 levy should be removed, and then others. Because our idea is that with this level of taxation, there's no way any company can produce at its optimum level. Because what we are experiencing currently in the market is that demand is very, very, very low.
True.
And so and once the tax demand is low, you cannot mobilize the right required of revenue. I am of the view that the government can mobilize indeed more revenue if they cut these taxes and they remove some of these taxes, because at the end of the day, consumers will be able to buy more. For there's a lady that comes to clean the house of a colleague, and the lady said for a long time now she has not been able to afford rice to eat. Can she give her just a tin of rice for her to go home and cook? Now, if you have a 5 kilo of rice, about 85 cedis or 100 cedis thereabout, people cannot afford that. So, but if the prices calm down, you can have people buying more, and the more they buy, the more the taxes will go to the government and the companies.
Has there been any response to these recommendations you made to the Finance Ministry?
I have not received any response to the, from the Finance Ministry in terms of invitation to for us to meet to explain our side of the view. We are on the ground, and we actually are giving him a feedback of some of the implications of some of the taxations and then the taxes that have been put. We haven't had, so maybe they will still invite us. We still have a couple of days to the budget being read. Maybe they will still invite us. But even if they do invite us, we are not only traders, but we are also experts in the area, and we are giving them feedback that together we can do this. We've tried this high taxation thing, and now you literally have to force your taxes from the payments of the taxes from the payers. Try the other option, and people will willingly pay, and you can make more money.
Professor Gachi, in 30 seconds, what would be your recommendation for the budget presentation, especially for the manufacturing sector?
Well, I think the budget presentation will largely mimic the IMF focus, and it will be very difficult for the government to actually relax the taxes, even though that is the opinion by the market players, even though that is the opinion by the KPMG survey that was published recently. So there will be some attempt to demonstrate that we are trying to target some productive areas to incentivize, but that overall may not be the solution. The solution will have to be in the area of taking this information and acting on them.
Right. Professor John Gachi, appreciate your time and your precise contributions to this. Thank you so much. Professor John Gachi is the Dean of University of Cape Coast Business School. Reverend John Awoni, Executive Chair of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. Thank you so much for coming. And this is something that will sustain the conversation going forward. I appreciate your time. So it's on behalf of the rest of the team here on Business Focus, thank you so much for watching. Join us same time next week. News 360 is up next. I am Alfred Okonse.
Business Focus is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Welcome to tonight's Mega 6 Lotto Draw. Each draw takes place on an automated GLI certified smart playing machine in front of a panel of NLA appointed adjudicators. And the first number out is
6.